صلوا في بيوتكم صلوا في بيوتكم الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
You're watching Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Think about this. How could you get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better and increase in your love for Him? Join me during this special Ramadan as we embark on a spiritual excursion in understanding the most beautiful names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ سَيُجْزَوْنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ.
Kauli ya wengi, mwanamke lake jiko, wakajitahidi kwa makundi kubeba wao mwiko. Mapishi na Remi, mwamko mpya katika tajriba ya upishi, kufundisha na kuunganisha jamii katika ubora wake mwanamke wake jikoni.
Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet.
I'll be live every Tuesday from 10 to 11. Please remember to send in your videos, your WhatsApp videos while you're reading Quran.
With kids. Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Hadith.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Islam has permitted acquisition of wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون.
To understand clearly Islamic perspective on wealth management, join me Khalfan Abdullah on Trials of Wealth to learn more on concept of wealth in Islam, wealth creation, wealth spending, wealth protection, and many more based on Quran and Sunnah.
Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet.
I'll be live every Tuesday from 10 to 11. Please remember to send in your videos, your WhatsApp videos while you're reading Quran.
With kids. Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Hadith.
Think about this. How could you get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better and increase in your love for Him? Join me during the special Ramadan as we embark on a spiritual excursion in understanding the most beautiful names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ سَيُجْزَوْنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good afternoon right here from Horizon TV and Live Real Talk team. The coronavirus still is our topic this afternoon, and we are taking a different angle this afternoon. We are discussing about the stigma and the surrounding effects. One of the surrounding effects as well that we're going to be measuring on this afternoon is the phobia. People are afraid of taking the coronavirus test because of the ultimate phobia, the ultimate stigma that's associated with the coronavirus. I beg your pardon. So the coronavirus has now hit at least 3,932,672. Those are the total numbers globally, with the death total mortality rate totaling up to 271,029, making it at least 17%. 83% still stand to be the recovery rate, which translates to 1,349,420. The suspected and recovered patients still continue to face stigma within the community. Maybe this might have caused the phobia on the mass testing program that the government has rolled out. So join me this afternoon as we explore on this topic. With me this afternoon, we are having none other than Dr. Salma Jari, who is psychologist and a consultant in urban management and development. Dr. Ibrina Mora will be joining us later on in the afternoon. And as well with me, we have Mr. Mohammed Ismail, who is a community leader from Isli, who will be giving us more insight regarding the lockdown in Isli area and the Cotton Court alleged exodus, movement of people from Isli to other areas. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Salma. Thanks so much for making time this afternoon, joining us this afternoon. This pandemic is facing what many would call the same fate HIV faced in its early stages. Would you agree with this, Dr. Ari?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. So if yes, would you agree to say that the government might be packaging the whole coronavirus wrongly, hence causing this stigma effect?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I may say there is wrong way of packaging, but at the same time say the government is really trying the best they could. But then there are some elements that have brought in stigma and discrimination among other people, that people are now afraid that if I come up, what will happen to me? And these elements are like the quarantine, where people being put in. It's like people are being forced to go into quarantine at their cost, at their own cost, until maybe yesterday when they said maybe things will change. It was at your own cost, and you don't have money, and at the same time you are being bundled together as a family to unfit areas. What we have been seeing, like some schools where we have no basic facilities and amenities for people, and most unfortunate, like in Mombasa, the family that was put on quarantine, all of them had consulted to remain in their own house, just the next day to be bundled up and put in quarantine. Then the other one is where if you are met past the curfew time, you're also being put in quarantine. So this has brought a lot of misconception. What is this all? And how safe are we even where we are going? So it has brought phobia among people.
So if I understand you correctly, you say that it has not been packaged wrongly. It's only that whatever is circumnavigating the disease is what's causing jitters. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it's not being packaged wrongly. Don't you think it's causing fear the way it's being packaged and the escalating, the exponentially growing numbers every now and then? Every day there is a press briefing, plus not to mention the threats from the authorities, from the county chiefs and all that. Don't you think that still it might be packaged wrongly?
Yeah.
And causing fears?
I think the preparedness and the way it's being done it's overweighing the preparedness for the government, and therefore things are getting out of hand, therefore bringing in the fear and the bad connotation of all what is being done by the government.
Okay, I'm getting I understand that Dr. Yubrina Mora has joined us this afternoon. But Dr. Mora, welcome for joining us. But I just want to bring in Mr. Mohammed Ismail, who's also part of the response team of the Isli community. Am I right to say the Isli business community formed task force?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have seen a revolt, we have seen an uprising, some sort of an uprising from the residents of Isli regarding this whole pandemic. They're still not taking it with utmost seriousness. Hence the low turnout when it comes to mass testing. Hence not the 100% strict adherence to the regulations set by the government. Again, I'm going to put the same question to you. Do you think the pandemic, the whole disease, has been packaged wrongly by the government and the Ministry of Health and anyone handling this pandemic for that matter?
Yes, of course, because the way the government are tackling this pandemic, we can say the government, they are trying hard, as the doctor said, but the enforcers, those people who are enforcing those orders, they're not doing it correctly. That is what makes the community feel that they are being targeted, isolated. People are connected, and this pandemic is all over in the world, and they have some relative, and most of them, they are connected in the social media and the TVs everywhere, and they always hear or watch what is happening in US, in Europe. Their family members, they communicate with them, and they give them their story of their side, especially in Isli. Those people who are testing positive, when you saw them, they're just a normal people. They don't show those signs of the coronavirus. So the government is forcing them to take them to quarantine, instead of the government coming with measures that to quarantine themselves in their homestead.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Mohammed Ismail. Dr. Mora, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Dr. Mora. Dr. Ibrahim, thanks so much for making time. You spoke of you spoke of humanizing this pandemic last week, right?
Yes.
Don't you feel that the stigma that comes with the infection might push people to repel against the virus and the whole pandemic as it is?
Definitely. I think stigma is something we need to take care of. And even from our previous discussion last week, we mentioned that stigma is propagating the viral spread. And if we don't handle it in good time, it will give us detrimental long-term effects, and it will give us obstacles to containing the virus. Take, for example, one incident that I like to refer to where someone had symptoms of COVID, and then they presented to a health facility, and they did not volunteer the information that they need to give the health worker. Mm-hmm. So in such a scenario, you sort of understand this guy because he is complaining of symptoms, and he's worried that he'll be taken to forceful, criminalized quarantine. Then he'll conceal this information. What is the trickle-down effect? The trickle-down effect is the health worker who is seeing this patient, the people who are in the health facility, the community that this person comes from, all of them are at risk of exposure. So yes, stigma has to stop, and stigma is what is driving a lot of cultures in our country from not cooperating with government. So we need to take care of stigma, and I keep on using this term where we need to humanize this problem so that people can appreciate that this problem does not choose, and it's for all of us, not for a particular group of people. And that way then, it will start even from members of the forces state, learning how do we refer to people infected with COVID. Will we refer them to cases or to suspects where some languages or words that we use actually sort of victimizes these individuals, and therefore the society unknowingly does shun away from these people. And so even as we talk from a religious point of view, if we think something is evil, the only response would be like, I don't want to be part of the evil people. So we really need to change our language, our practices, and our total approach.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sam, I'm going to loop you in. A couple of weeks ago, we interviewed the chairperson of the Muslim Psychologists and Counselors Association here, and we asked her about the counseling services offered to those people on quarantine or those people on isolation. And she confirmed that they rolled out a program in collaboration with the government, the National Response Team. So the stigma is now the stigma is now crippling into the society, correct? Whereby even those affected, after they've recovered, they're finding it difficult to reintegrate within the community. So for as much as we're putting in a lot of effort to those who are affected, or those who are in quarantine, or those who are in isolation, what are we doing to the rest of the community members to make it easy for those recovered to reintegrate better into the society? Dr. Salma.
I think there's need to keep giving information, right information, and as the doctor has said, we don't criminalize those people who have been affected by coronavirus. We should be able to reintegrate people back to the community by making people understand that they are now healed and they are just normal like any other person. And also more information on what is COVID-19. How does it affect people? Does it discriminate itself? Does it go to the very poor or a certain group of people or religious people or evil people? Because if people are met partying, wherever they are doing or taking alcohol, doesn't mean that already they have the COVID-19. So if we can send enough information to the people, continue educating them on what is COVID-19, then they are able to receive those people who have been affected back to the society.
So, Dr. I'm just going to ask again, do we have specific programs or specific structural programs rolled out already to the community in terms of relaying the proper, authentic information to make it easy for those who have recovered already to reintegrate back into the society? Do you have such programs already laid out?
I know there's some civil society doing that, and also using the networks within the society to create awareness through art, through drawings, through skits, and what have you. But I'm not sure the impact that it's getting, because still COVID-19 is still very new and amorphous, and nobody really know what it is all about.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Mohammed Ismail, I'm going to ask you, the government rolled out mass testing program, especially in Nairobi. They focused on some areas. Kawangware, Eastleigh was one of the hotspot areas, and we've seen an exponential growth of numbers, particularly in Eastleigh when it comes to patients, or rather victims of coronavirus, or rather people who have tested positive for coronavirus. So how can you describe the turnout of people who voluntarily came out to take a voluntary test of coronavirus? Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you. First and foremost, let me just start with this. The community, especially the business community, community leaders, the politicians from Eastleigh, before even the mass testing was done, they just organized themselves to work with the Ministry of Public Health and also the administration to adhere to the government directive which were given, especially hand washing, testing people when they are entering the malls, using the mask and everything. When the mass testing came, they also mobilized the people to come out to test. And I wonder when I hear the news, especially the local news, saying that the mass testing is ongoing in Eastleigh. It was only done on 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That was the last day which was done, the mass testing. And those 3 days, over 1,400 people were tested. And those who became tested positive were almost 57, if I'm not wrong. So even the minister, when he's briefing the nation, I urge him to say that the numbers which were tested and the numbers and the percentage. You know, when you see the percentage, 1,400 plus, 50 or 60 became positive. That is almost 1%, 2%. So they are exaggerating. Even the local media, especially the Citizen and all those, when they go to Eastleigh, they only focus on one area, especially the business area. And Eastleigh is a business area and also a residential area.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, so you did not necessarily give an affirmative answer to what I'm looking at. We asked exactly, how can you describe the turnout? Was it good? Was it bad? Because we've seen some apathy in other areas within the country, like Mombasa, Old Town particularly. There was some apathy.
The turnout in Eastleigh was very good to me, because 3 days, over 1,400 people tested. There were challenges. Those medical officers from the Minister of Health, they were coming. There were challenges like coming late sometimes. Sometimes the kits were not even available. They were just going back. People were just waiting. For those 3 days when the testing was going on, it was also raining. People, you know, when it is raining, they were doing it in an open space. People, when they see the rain is coming, and also people are fasting. The other challenge is that we Muslim, people were just confused if they can do that test, because they are fasting, to put something in their mouth and their nose. They were just requesting Islamically, is it allowed? So there was that challenges, but to me, the outcome, the people, the turnout was very good.
Okay, thank you so much. At this point, I'm going to be forced to go on a very short break. But when we come back, we're going to talk more about the mass testing that was rolled out in the country. And it experienced some apathy in some parts of the country. And actually, people came out on social media lashing out at the county chiefs and the government in general for as far as testing the coronavirus is concerned. So don't you go away, because we are just getting started. On the other side, we have Dr. Mura as well, and Honorable Rehema Hassan, Tana River Women Representative, will be joining us after the break.
You're watching Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ni kauli ya wengi, mwanamke na kijiko, wakajitahidi kwa makundi kubeba wao mwiko. Mapishi na Remi, mwamko mpya katika tajriba ya upishi, kufundisha na kuunganisha jamii katika ubora wake mwanamke wake jikoni.
Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn Hadith. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We learn the duas. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet.
I'll be live every Tuesday from 10 to 11. Please remember to send in your videos, your WhatsApp videos while you're
Abu
reading
Najma
Quran.
with kids. Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Hadith.
Think about this. How could you get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better and increase in your love for Him? Join me during the special Ramadan as we embark on a spiritual excursion in understanding the most beautiful names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ سَيُجْزَوْنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ.
Assalamu alaikum. What makes you unhappy? One of the things that causes massive unhappiness are our shoulds. The belief that life should be like this, or he should be like that.
Welcome back to Live Real Talk, the second segment. We are talking about the Isli and Old Town lockdown. And of course, we're looking at the coronavirus, the stigma and the surrounding effect. Mr. Mohammed Ismail, I'm going to ask you, what's your feeling or what's your take regarding the government's move to lock down Isli as it is?
The government, to my belief that the government rushed to lock down Isli because Isli is the face of Nairobi. That's the way we believe. And it's a business hub and also a residential. During the day, there are a lot of people who come outside Nairobi, even within Nairobi, to shop, to do business. Some of them own the business. So even if you lock down Isli for 15 days, what will happen after the 15 days? Because people will come back. And the minister have announced that all Nairobi Nairobi area, it's all, everywhere in Nairobi is already infected with the disease. The virus is everywhere in Nairobi. So we believe that the government rushed on that decision, locking down Isli. it could be better if they could lock the whole of Nairobi, because the movement of Nairobi, Eastleigh is the center of Nairobi. After the lockdown, we believe that people will go to import the virus in Eastleigh, and that the 15 days will be useless to us.
So you feel that was a wrong move by the government to lock down Eastleigh? Am I correct?
Yeah, wrong move to do that.
Okay, thank you. But the government did that in the best interest of the community and the citizens in general, in terms of protecting the virus from actually further spreading. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So how would you rather be? How would you rather for it to be done apart from locking down the area?
You know, if you look at the neighborhood of Eastleigh, Madare, Majengo, Kikomba, they're all of a populated area. If you see the side of hygiene, the people behavior and the culture, the behavior of the people, it's just the same like Eastleigh, and they have not been locked down. So we believe that it's just a selective program for the government.
But those areas that you're just mentioning don't have the numbers of positive cases compared to Eastleigh.
They were not. The government did mass testing in those areas. The people of areas, especially mamambogas and water vendors, those who do the small businesses, the groceries, they all every day they visit Kikomba and also Markiti to buy those products and bring Eastleigh. Do you believe that our people from Eastleigh, who already the government says that they are infected with the virus, they don't transfer that virus to the people in Kikomba and Markiti? So
how do you rather for it to be done then, in terms of for as far as containment of the virus is concerned?
We prefer as a community the lockdown could be done uniformly in Nairobi.
But those other areas don't have the numbers. That's what they just say, and that's the argument of the government.
You know, the challenge is people what don't understand. Eastleigh was done. The government did 3 days mass testing. If the government could do the same in South Sea, even in the CBD or Westland, I believe that more positive people could be. The government could get positive, high number of positive people in those areas. So for us to be fair, to say the government is doing fair, we urge the government to do mass testing in all estates in Nairobi.
So the government did the mass testing in Eastleigh and found the positive cases and reacted to the situation in Eastleigh, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, it's not right, correct?
Yeah.
But the government has the capacity to only do the mass testing a place at a time, and that's why they started with Eastleigh. And they found the problem, and the solution was to lock it down. And that's what you're saying you're not comfortable with, correct?
What about Kangware? Even the government did mass testing in Kangware, and over 20 people tested positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But 20 people...
And yet there's no that lockdown in Kangware.
Oh, okay. So Brother Mohammed, that the government, I'm sure they've had that. Just one more question. There has been an alleged exodus, movement of people from Eastleigh to other areas like South C and South B. Would you confirm to that?
You know, what people don't understand is that there are a lot of people who live in South C and South B, or also parklands, who do business in Eastleigh. During the day, morning hours, they come to Eastleigh. In the evening, they go back to their home, South C and South B. So there's nothing like that people who, the residents of Eastleigh or those who reside in Eastleigh, when the government announced that lockdown, some of them just rush or transfer their people or went to South C and South B. That is just rumors, and that is malicious to the people of Eastleigh. That is what we believe. The residents of Eastleigh are still in Eastleigh, and even if you go to Eastleigh right now, you see the numbers is small. The residents of Eastleigh, what makes Eastleigh to be more populated during the day is because of the business. People come for business all over Nairobi and also the neighboring counties.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Salma, what's your take on the lockdown of particular areas, especially Eastleigh and Old Town, because that's what has brought about some uproar all over the country, especially on social media. What's your opinion on that?
I think just like Mr. Mohammed is saying, the government was very quick in just locking down Eastleigh without first sensitizing the Eastleigh people, which may accelerate the stigma, because right now people are focusing at Eastleigh as if it's the source of COVID-19, and it will take time for people to realize that it's getting to other areas apart from Eastleigh. So in a nutshell, it may even make it more difficult, because as Muslims, because majority of Isri people are Muslims, then it may look like just the issue of bomb blast and the terror, where a Muslim gets into a matatu and everybody is saying, here now, we have been captured. Yeah? So the same thing may be repeated, that anytime you see a Muslim in a buibui like I am, they may say she's from Isiri and she's bringing in the virus. So it wasn't well thought through. Same with Mombasa, Old Town. It will be the same thing. Old Town, who lives there? Muslims. And we needed more information just to educate people on what is the virus about, and it can get to anybody, not only Isri. Just as Ismail has said, Isri is an economic hub, not only for Nairobi, but the whole country. So we have people getting into Isri, buying and going. We may even be talking of locking down Isri, yet those with virus are all over now the country, or just within Nairobi.
Thank you so much. Dr. Mura, thank you so much for staying with us. Testing process, it is perceived to be a bit painful. So I'm going to ask you two questions. One, about the testing process, the coronavirus testing process. It is perceived to be painful, dipping in the stick in the nose or the throat to get the specimen that wants to be tested. It is perceived to be painful. And that's one of the reasons as to why people are afraid of taking the test. That is one. Secondly, the government has come out repeatedly and said that they have a capacity of doing big number of tests per day, right? But up to date, we have not seen yet that to the effect. Now, question number one, is it really painful as people perceive it to be outside here, hence creating the apathy? People don't want to go outside there and be tested. Question number two, as the medical practitioners in this country, can everyone, or what would you do rather to help the government in assisting the mass testing rollout to other areas as well, so that the government's directive on locking down some areas cannot be seen as selective?
Okay, question number one, it's painful. The process of gathering the sample is not painful, it's uncomfortable. Because you can imagine someone collecting a sample from your nose. So it's just uncomfortable, not painful. Question number two, about whether we should have, about the mass rolling of testing. I think, one, we have to keep in mind that, one, we don't have enough, per se, quote unquote, relevant to the society. We don't have enough kits. We need more. So in mass testing, then it has to be more of a targeted mass testing, where we say we have a particular group of people that are at high risk, let's say health workers. So we have to test all health workers. Or there's a particular society, like let's say Old Town or Isiri, where we're having a very a high trajectory of the raising cases, then maybe we need to test that. So mass testing in our setup, in our context, is very, very targeted. Reason is, we really don't have enough resources and infrastructure, quote unquote, because this is a pandemic facing the entire world. And even in the US and in Europe, and in Europe and in China, at some point we didn't have enough kits. So we have to contend with the fact that we are in a very resource-restrained setup, and our testing has to be very targeted for us to actually be objective in how we are handling the pandemic.
Okay, thanks so much. Just to make our viewers come into our basket what we are talking about, here's a clip of Governor Mombasa, Governor 001 Hassan Ali Joho, as he was ranting when people decided to not to take the voluntary mass testing. So let's have a look.
Kama wewe hujipendi, mpende ule mwenzako ama mfanyie anayekupenda. Haturudii haya maneno. Tumekuja kusema leo na hatutarudia. Mutapimwa, my friend. Take it from me. Na mnanijua mimi nikisema si umuhimu maneno, mutapimwa. Na kama hamupimwi tutawafungia ndani ya majumba yenu. Kama munayo muambukizane nyinyi wenyewe huko ndani. Kupima, mutapimwa. Tusipelekane hivi na hivi. Mtaani zamani nikwambia usinilete. Kama ni kupimwa, mtafanya nini? Mtapimwa. Afadhali mujipeleke wenyewe.
Thank you so much, Mohammed Samubura, for giving us that video. Dr. I see you laughing and reacting to that video. Would you mind telling us, taking us through your mind? What's happening? Tell us.
I think we are seeing emotions so up. And if I was Governor Joe, I would actually possibly or most likely lose my temper at some point, because we are struggling with a change of culture, and there's a lot of resistance in our society. People don't comprehend. But as a psychologist in studio will tell you that maybe we just need to control our emotions and approach this issue differently, because losing our cool and gushing out in public really wouldn't send the right message. But again, let's just understand Governor 001, because he's actually getting frustrated by the fact that the society is not accepting and is not acknowledging the magnitude of the problem. But that boils down to public sensitization, creation of awareness, and getting this society and different cultures embracing that we have a new problem and we have to curb it in every way possible. So I guess it's just a breakdown of communication, and we need to really take care of that.
Thank you so much. Dr. Salma, Ms. Salma, I'm sure you also have some reactions to how the governor responded, because from that we saw a lot of resistance as well. So what's your take on that?
Just like Dr. has said, the governor wants to drive this process and see it to the end with all the passion. But then it doesn't work to really say you are forcing me to go to a hospital or to be tested or to know even my weight. Today, if you force me to know my weight, I will resist. Why do you want to know my weight? Simple, wait, just wait. So if you are forcing people to go and get to know something that they already fear, because corona is unknown. So we are dealing with an issue of unknown disease. Nobody has really known it. And also the way, if you are testing positive, the way people are being handled, it's also making people more resistant to getting tested. I would rather remain the way I am, so that I remain at the comfort of my house with nobody disrupting my routine. So that's why I don't want to know my status. But then there are better ways of doing it. We have local leaders, we have imams, we have madrasa teachers who can sensitize people if given this information. Why do we need public testing, mass testing? So it would have gone well if it was not Joho really telling people you must do it, and if you don't do it, we will lock it into your house. So I still believe there is a better way of sensitizing people and people getting to know what is the gains if I get tested.
Thank you. Thanks so much. We're going to take another short break, but again, when we come back, we're going to go down to one of the coastal counties. I'm talking about Tana River, where the women representative, Honorable Rema Hassan, is on standby. Will be joining us on the other side of the break to talk about how prepared they are as leaders, what they've put in place to prepare the county for as far as this pandemic is concerned when it's hit. Not to mention, we've seen the apathy in Mombasa, and they're coming from the same region. So what's put in place to address this? So all this is going to be after this very short break.
Mtu anaweza kujua vipi mja mwema mwisho wake?
Yule ambaye katika hali ya sakaratul maut, roho inapotoka.
Daima kilicho na uhai basi mauti kitaonja lazima.
Yule aliyekufa katika taa, aliyekufa katika khairi, tusema tumtarajia kwa sababu amekufa katika khairi.
Njia zake ni pande mbili, ima uwe mwovu au mwema.
Ama kukata kauli na kusema kwamba huu ni wa peponi, huu ni wa motoni, hiyo si kazi yangu na yako ndugu yangu Muislamu, hiyo ni kazi ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Maisha yako si sampuli, iko siku pumzi itakuhama.
Mwenyezi Mungu asema primary reason ni ibada.
Kwa ufafanuzi, undani, tizama maisha ya akhira. Sheikh Jamaluddin akiwa naye Muhammad Shakumbo wanakupa uhondo kamili katika Horizon TV. You're watching Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ni kauli ya wengi, mwanamke na kijiko, wakajitahidi kwa makundi kubeba wao mwiko. Mapishi na Remi, mwamko mpya katika tajriba ya upishi, kufundisha na kuunganisha jamii katika ubora wake mwanamke wake jikoni.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the third and unfortunately the last segment of Live Real Talk this afternoon. I'm going to go straight to Tana River, where the women representative, Honorable Rahema Hassan, is online. Honorable Rahema, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Honorable Rahema, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Mheshimiwa.
Naam, salam alaikum.
We are having problem to get in touch with Honorable Rahema Hassan, but we're going to get her on board for... there she is. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Mheshimiwa, thank you so much for making time this afternoon for Live Real Talk.
Thank you.
I'm just going straight to it. Mheshimiwa, how is the county prepared to handle this pandemic? Because right now we're seeing a lot of counties doing whatever is necessary to prepare themselves in addressing the coronavirus pandemic. So how are you prepared as leaders from Tana River County to handle this pandemic?
Okay, the preparedness in Tana River County is well. At least the arrangements are done by the county government, where they have set the COVID-19 centers for quarantine. But I thank God we have no cases of positive, neither suspects. We thank God for that.
Alhamdulillah. So in respect to our topic this afternoon, Mheshimiwa, what is the perception of the virus in your county? Because we are talking about stigma and the surrounding effects of coronavirus. So in respect to that topic, what's the perception of the virus in your county?
The perception is that coronavirus or COVID-19 is real and it's there. And it's killing people. So our people are really trying to take care and to follow what they've been advised by the Department of Health.
Okay, so would you sit comfortably say that sensitization within the county is well, and you've spread out properly within the county to sensitize the community regarding the virus?
Okay, we've really tried. Personally, like Mama County, Tana River, I've done so much on sensitization. I have teams that I work with that I've sent up to down to Mashinani. So people are well sensitized, actually.
Okay. In one of the neighboring counties, which is Mombasa County, there was a mass testing program, of course, rolled out by the national government under the Ministry of Health, particularly in areas like Old Town. And we've seen some apathy. Some people are not willing to come out and willingly take the coronavirus test. This is associated with the stigma that ultimately come when a person is found either positive or a relative is found positive. So what measures have you put in place in such a way that if such happens in your county, how would you deal with it?
Okay, personally, I want to say this. People are not refusing the voluntary testing because of stigma, but people are refusing the voluntary testing because of the payment. Because there's suspicion that some of these machines are fake. They don't give the true results. Where one is tested and found positive, then when he goes to the hospital, later on is tested and is found negative. At the same time, you've been put in quarantine, and then you're supposed to be charged. You're supposed to pay. And you know, currently, very bad because there are no businesses. People are very poor now. Then when you put them into quarantine and force them to pay, it's very bad. It's making people, that's what is making people fear the voluntary testing. Actually, it's not the stigma.
So you saying that it's not the stigma associated to it, but one is the forced payment of quarantine fees, and secondly,
yes,
the suspicion that the testing kits are fake.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yes.
doubting the testing kits from the government, then which ones might be authentic in this case?
Pardon? Come on.
So if you're doubting the testing kits by the government, by the Ministry of Health, because the mass testing program is from the government, correct?
Yes.
So just thinking like a layman, from a layman's perspective, if someone would doubt these testing kits from the government, saying that this might be fake, so which ones might be original in this country right now?
In the scenario, it's tricky. Actually, it is very tricky because the kits are from the government, yes. But now, where the kits originate from, you know, could be they are giving us the wrong machines.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. So, yes, because because I don't see how it's possible for several counties or several people who are already in quarantine, who've stayed even for more than 3 weeks, who are tested and found positive, put in quarantine. After that, they are again found negative, and some of them are in big hospital in this country.
Now that the government has actually taken care of the quarantine fees, do you think you're likely to see any changes in terms of the turnout in voluntary mass testing?
I don't think so, because once bitten, twice shy.
Wow. So then, yes, if people are still going to be reluctant in terms of coming out voluntarily and taking the test, then how are we expected to know the affected or the infected persons, for that matter, and take the necessary steps in terms of addressing this pandemic?
Okay, mine is to continue. We continue talking to our people, sensitizing them to just take care, to avoid the gatherings, and to do the necessary things according to what they've been advised.
Leader, in your own respect.
So sensitization is the key.
Okay. We do agree, and thank you so much. Ms. Salma, I'm going to loop you in on what we heard from Honorable Rehema Hassan in terms of the testing program. He said that stigma might not necessarily be the problem, but rather the perception or the assumption that the testing kits might not be authentic or might not be original, giving the authentic results. Okay, so this is a perception that's outside there. So what's your take on that, Ms. Salma?
Yeah, stigma comes in when you are dealing with something you have no information about.
You have no information about?
Yes.
Okay.
And in this case, according to the Honorable Women Rep, nobody knows about the testing kits. And the misinformation, misconception around it is the testing kits, the sticks being put into your nose, has already been infected. That's a misconception, that whatever stick is being used has already been contaminated and affected, and it's being used on you just like there's somebody who expects a big number of the affected in our country. So that's the misinformation that is going out there. So, and we hear the sticks are not the ordinary sticks being used to test. They have to be imported. Is there a way that we can be able to manufacture our own, that maybe we have confidence that they are not infected, so that the misinformation is gone? But the misinformation is part of the stigma, that you are being tested, you could not be positive, you are just being victimized to be taken to a quarantine, so that after some few days you prove to be negative. So all that information is stigma.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much, Ms. Salma, and thanks so much, Honorable Rehema Hassan. As Ms. Salma said, just maybe the last question for you before I let you go. As Ms. Salma said that stigma comes with something that you have no much information about. And in this case, I assume that stigma would come if people didn't have more information or relevant information regarding the COVID-19, correct? And you are confirming to us that sensitization, you agree that sensitization has gone down up to the mashinani for as far as Tana River is concerned, correct? Honorable, yeah. Are we together?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So now in this case, you're saying stigma is not necessarily the problem and that you have given out authentic information. As a leader, what do you think you can advise the government, or what can you do in your capacity to try and address this pandemic in your county and the nation at large?
We are trying to handle it as leaders, the national leaders. We are trying to handle it, and the committees concerned, there's something they are doing with the Ministry of Health.
What exactly are we looking at in terms of Mushimia? I guess we've lost Mushimia, and we're going to go direct to Dr. Mora. But before that, as we are connecting to Dr. Yubrina Mora, I just need to loop in Mr. Mohammed Ismail. Mr. Mohammed, is it the same case in Isli in terms of the society coming out for testing? Is it the same case?
Yeah, it is the same, because the residents of Isli believe that those kits are imported from China, and the virus itself originated from China. Some of those kits are already contaminated with that virus, and also they believe that those kits, the quality of those kits are not good, because as they've heard from
Thank you. Thanks so much. I think we have Dr. Mora, and she's going to make it clear for some of these issues. Dr. Mora, Dr. Ibrina, welcome back. I'm sure you heard what Mr. Mohammed Ismail just said a few minutes ago, right? In terms of gloves. To begin with that.
Yes.
So what's your take on that?
I think all health workers are aware of the infectious diseases that are supposed to be taken, and that entails how we handle patients, from patients who could have contracted the virus to the ones who don't, from one patient to the next patient. That is very clear. We have very clear outlines and guidelines on the approach to that. It will be very unfortunate if any of us is breaching the set down guidelines. And I would urge all health workers, if there's anyone breaching that, they're not just risking the society and the community at large, they're risking themselves too. Having said that, I think it's also very important for us as Kenyans and Africans in particular to be very discerning on the information we get on social media or from sources that are not very verifiable. Case in reference about, let's say, kits that are defective, because I think there was an uproar on social media about Tanzania, and then saying that the kits are not standardized. I think one of the ways that the measures that the government puts in place is to make sure that the regulatory bodies, starting from KEMSA to KEMRI, and those are bodies that are supposed to ensure quality assurance to the kits that we get, are doing their job. And again, we have to also be cognizant of the fact that we have unscrupulous business people who could possibly get some substandard supplies. And I think that is something that we should take to the door of the government to make sure all our kits and all the medical equipment and the protective gear that is provided to the health workers and even to the general public on one way or the other, from diagnostic to treatment, is of good quality, and we can have a quality assurance to all Kenyans and all citizens.
Thanks so much. So am I taking this authoritatively that the kits are original and of high quality and they give authentic results? Is that correct?
From where I stand, they should be. And we have to make sure that we hold all bodies accountable for that, to make sure that those kits are of the highest standard. But remember, again, in research and in science, you normally can have some kits that could be defective, but that should be fixed at the point where the test is being done, that we are having an indeterminate result, which meaning that the kit, something is wrong with it. Just the same way that we can have clothes that have something torn at some point. So all those quality measures are there in place, not just from manufacturing, but for purchasing and even at the lab where they're being used.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. Moran. I'm just going to give you an opportunity, a couple of seconds, to give you a parting shot regarding our topic of discussion this afternoon, please. Go ahead. I
think as a health worker in this country that we love so much, it's very important for us to take into consideration the hindrances we're having to combating this virus. And I think as the discussion we're having today about stigma, it's arising from lack of awareness and public sensitization. And we need to really drum up support to ensure that our populace understand what is going on. They have information, because information is power, and we do not have a lot of the misconceptions going on. And as the government said, we need to have trusted sources of information so that the public is well educated and we have all the myths and all those taken care of. But bottom line, let's have a society with no stigma by ensuring that we drum up support for awareness creation and public sensitization.
Thank you so much. Ms. Salma, I'm going to come to you for a parting shot as we're wrapping up our show this afternoon.
Yeah, I echo what Dr. has said by saying we need education to dispel the harmful information, stereotypes that people have about the disease. And also thinking we should have a centralized point where we get information. I know we cannot rule out the social media, which has been giving diverse information that you cannot control, but we should be getting right information from somewhere where we say it's authentic information. Then we should be able to speak out when we get information that we think is distorting the process we have put in place. And people should be able to say, no, this is not the right information. Then we should also be able to reach out to the people who are feeling stigmatized. I wish I could go to Isri and embrace them and be able to tell them we love them and we need to put things in place. I know there are others who are feeling stereotyped and they are also feeling stigmatized. We have to reach out to them. We have mechanisms we can reach out to them and be able to support them and also appreciate our medical workers. Because right now, as we speak, I'm feeling like the medical workers will be stigmatized. Once they start out, people will be feeling, no, we don't want to relate with them. So that's my parting shot. Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed Ismail, please give us your parting shot.
Yeah, to me, I will just talk about the lockdown initially. Yeah? The government just ruled out that lockdown, but they didn't give out guidelines. What will going to happen within the 15 days? Because initially, the people of Italy now are in a lockdown. They want the government to give them more information. What within those 15 days, initially is a business hub. What they believe that this is a war against their business. A war on business. The government must come clear to prove to the residents of Italy that this is not war on their business. And secondly, in our residential area, the infrastructure is not good. Since the lockdown yesterday, the garbage collectors were not allowed to come to Italy and collect the garbage from the residents. Because those who do those business they come up from outside Italy. Secondly, the law enforcers, they are using more force to the residents to rule out that the lockdown, to enforce the lockdown. So our message to the government and the law enforcers is that let them be sober to the community when they are doing their duties. Secondly, the government to come up with clear program within these 15 days. If they can clear the garbage, they can do those infrastructure. The people of Italy don't have water as we are talking right now. I don't know what is happening with the Nairobi water. Even the sewer and the drainage, honestly, if you go to Italy, you will see there's a lot of sewer and drainage and drinking water which are contaminated. So all those things we are urging the government to correct within these 15 days in order even the residents to see that the government, they are doing positive thing other than fighting the pandemics.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us and making our show what it was this afternoon. Thank you so much, Dr. Morawi. It's always a pleasure having you around. Thank you so much, Ms. Salman. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed Ismail. Now, as we are wrapping up the show, on Monday morning, we woke up to a very sad news. Very sad news. It was a World Journalist Freedom Day. And unfortunately, one of the stakeholders, his life was cut short. We all woke up to a news that a journalist has been brutally murdered in Kibra, Mr. Mohammed Hassan Marjan. As the live Real Talk team and Horizon TV, we send our special condolences to the family of Mr. Mohammed Hassan Marjan, who is a father to the deputy floor manager and the head of technical inside the studio on the live Real Talk show, our brother Nasser Hassan. Our heartfelt condolences. We are with you in these trying moments. Our hearts, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We are asking the Almighty to forgive the shortcomings of your father and grant him Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive his sins and grant him Jannat al-Firdaus. We are so sorry once again. We're sending our special condolences to you all and to the police. Please, not just for Mr. Muhammad Murjan, who lost his life a couple of meters away from his doorstep. It's because everyone else was inside, and we entrusted our lives and our wealth in your hands. We still do entrust them in your hands. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we entrust them in your hands. So please, please, let us do due diligence and bring the culprits into book. That was our live real talk on this 8th day of May 2020. And I have been your host, Faisal Kassim. Thank you so much for the crew. Thank you so much, Mohammed Samobura, Abdul Ghafoor Anasi, Muhammad Shakombo, Suleiman Nachesa of Tumbo, Ibrahim Muhammad, Saida Aboud, Abu Sufyan Ahmed, Mariam Mocharo, Sadiq Ambitham, Yusuf Farah, everyone in the live Real Talk team. Thank you so much for making this show for what it was. See you next Friday, same place, same time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.